Today I received a Sony TC D5M. This is a professional cassette recorder that Sony made back in the early 80s, carried by a lot of reporters. Sent in by a viewer, says it's not working, won't play or record, and the DC power jack's broken. Let's fix it. This is a caption servo control stereo cassette recorder with a send-us head that was sent in from a viewer. It's got a couple of issues he wants me to take a look at. First one is the DC jack. If you look down here, the DC jack looks like it's been pushed in a bit. Camera won't focus that close, but anyway, DC jack is damaged for one. So let's start with that. Let's open it up. We'll start by removing the battery case. Just open it up like that. That just pulls right through. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. I don't think that's supposed to come out anyway. It does. And looks like there's a couple screws that are missing already. So we'll just take out the remaining screws. And it looks like it's held together with some black tape. This is how it arrived. Looks like there's 3 screws missing from this side. So there's the bottom cover off. Oh, if I shake it, maybe some more screws will fall out. 2 screws have fallen out of it already. Wonder where they came from. I guess one holds the circuit board in here. Looks like one's come out from there. Well, we're going to remove the circuit board anyway to look underneath here. I got to get to the DC inlet jack to repair it, so I got to strip this down. What else is on this that holds it together? One more screw here. If you remember the last one of these units I had, there was a break on the circuit board right over here. Another screw. More screws are missing from this other bezel. As you can see, that one's missing. Top bezel should lift off of this when I get all the screws out. There's 2 more. These units were built like tanks. They could take a lot of abuse. There was a lot of metal in them. But then they were also quite expensive back in the day. Okay, that's got that part out. Where is the power jack? Is back in this corner. Gonna get down to it. We'll remove. What do I got to remove to get down to that? I have to kind of study this for a minute. It should be mounted to this bracket down here. This felt that they put in here, this foam pad type tape with another screw, is all deteriorated. Lift these screws out here. I should be able to lift this bracket out, I believe. And then I can access the jack behind it. I probably have to take out this circuit board too. Jack panel should lift out. And should now be able to reattach this DC power plug to the back side. There should be a couple of screws holding it in place, which have fallen out, which you can see here. At least one screw that's fallen out. I think there's probably, but I should be able to attach it with one screw anyway. You can see one screw still in through the board here, but this other one here, I can probably put that one back in. Oh no. Oh, it just clips in there. It's held up against that other screw. Okay, it's going to find a screw to hold this in place. Well, these ones will do the job, I'm sure. There we go. Thread that in, tighten that down. There. Now the DC jack is repaired. That was one of the problems with this unit. To say a bunch of screws fell out of it though, so we got to figure out where they all went. That's one fault that this has got. There's more than one fault on this. The owner says that so the owner says here, I'm just going to show you this, but I'm going to cover up his info here before I show you guys. Okay, so this is what he says. He says, my TC D5M powers up with batteries, however the DC jack has come loose and is pushed inside, so we fixed that. Both reels working fast for the pinch roller capstan pulls the tape, but the take-up reel does not pull up the slack. Okay, so we have to look at that fault as well. So now that I've got this part working, let's power this thing up and see why it's not taking up the tape slack in play. So before I do that, I'm going to just reinstall the jack panel. Have to wiggle it around here a bit to get it in place. And it should drop back in just like it came out. Just a little bit of patience. Everything's so tightly crammed in, and this thing's actually quite a large machine, but it's got these large 1/4-inch microphone jacks in here, so it's actually kind of crammed even though it is fairly big. But it will eventually work its way in. Yeah, about time that thing went off. It's been running for quite a while today. It's been cold today. It's a little cooler out today. It's like January the 12th while I'm working on this, so I've had to turn the heat on in here because it's been freezing. I've got it up to a nice balmy 15 degrees Celsius in the shop now. So I'll put the screws back in to hold this chassis in place. Okay, now the DC jack is where it belongs. I'll put the circuit board back. This ground actually goes under this screw here. I just discovered today by accident that I'm allergic to cats. That's really funny considering I have 4 of the furry bloody things. I couldn't figure out every time I touched a cat would come in here and beckon me to pet it. I'd reach out and pet the cat, and a few minutes later, it just eyes were watering and stinging, and you know, it's like it finally dawned on me. Wait a minute! I think every time I touch a cat, I feel like I got to sneeze, and I get all congested, and my eyes start watering and getting dry. And then I kind of put 2 and 2 together. Thought maybe I'm allergic to these little beasts. So I tried it again today when one little beast was around. I picked the cat up, and within 5 minutes I was feeling lousy. So I kind of just answered my own question that I'm allergic to bloody cats. This thing's got automatic tape detection. It looks like one of the little tape detector levers here is bent, so we're going to straighten it up a bit. That's a bit better. That's used to detect whether you've got a chrome tape in here or not. Right, there's a little lever here. You put a tape in, it's got the chrome detection holes, it doesn't push that lever, and it selects chrome. And you can see here, there's a little indicator right through here. This would actually record and play standard ferrochrome and chrome tape and metal. You see, it has a switch here. So for normal and chrome, you put it in that position, and that would indicate whether it was a chrome tape or not. And then if it was a metal or a type 3, ferrochrome would record and play there, and that would be metal. Neat little machine. Okay, I think I'll just put some screws into the bottom here. We'll secure the circuit board, and then I'm going to well, before I even do that, I'm just looking. I don't think there's any ground. There's no ground screws here on the board. The ground ones are on the top board, so I should be able to power this thing up and test it. So now, by means of my adjustable bench power supply, I have 3 volts being supplied to the unit. And as you can see, fast forward works, lots of torque. Goes into auto stop, of course, because the other spool has to be turning. Fast forward works, and rewind works. How about play? And play is not turning the spool. So I think on this it might be a belt that drives it for play. We'll have to take the mechanism apart and see why play is not turning. So we're gonna lift out these. I think we can take this plate out on this, if I'm not mistaken. There's a couple of screws that we have to take out here. There's one here as well. We've already taken that one out. I think there's one more back here. And I think this might lift out. I might be mistaken, but one more screw down here. These 4 screws out. This plate should lift out, and we should be able to see the real tables underneath here. Okay. What drives this thing? Is it a belt or is it a direct drive? Pretty sure there's a belt underneath here that turns a separate idler. Okay, that idler drives for fast forward, and that idler drives for rewind. That would explain why. One screw holding this thing in place still. Now the board should lift out. We probably didn't need to take out those wires either. I didn't, but now that they're out of the way, they're out of the way. Okay, here is the mechanism here. And that is probably the belt that is shot. See, this is a disc drive system. If you look down here, the capstan motor, is this thing not going to focus? Stupid camera. The capstan motor itself, or the drive motor, actually turns this flywheel directly. And there's some gummed up crap in here too. That's, you can see here. Get that out of the way. I'm pretty sure that when this thing turns, what it turns is it turns this belt for play, and you can see how sloppy that belt is. So this is going to be the one that is worn, pretty much guaranteed. Let's just put it in play, forward, and oops, forward, that one, and this wheel here turns. You can see when I turn that one, that's what turns the take-up. So I have to find a belt to replace this worn belt here. And then I gotta, these are fun to get these apart. I should be able to just remove that and be able to lift the pulley out if I'm not mistaken. I gotta take off this gotta take off this tape that holds these wires in place so that I can get under here. Okay, now I should be able to remove this one screw, and that should give me enough clearance that I can slip the belt through here and around the pulley. I may have to take out another screw or loosen another screw over here. Yeah, now I should be able to remove it. You can see these were a lot of work to change the belt. To change the play belt, they were a lot of work to do this. There's the belt. Now I gotta see if I can find a replacement belt for this. Okay, I'm back with another belt here. Here was the original one that's all out of shape. Got a newer belt here. Just have to get it under the retaining clamp here. And okay, that's around the pulley on that side. Now I just got to bring it under to here. And around that pulley. Now I can tighten down the screws again. Okay, now I'm ready to put the board back in. Oh, I gotta put these wires back underneath this tape. This holds the wires out of the way. While the unit's apart, I'm going to take this opportunity to clean the record play switch. Okay, now to see which way that pushes that switch. So forward is play. Down that way is play. It pulls the switch this way for record. Okay, once the board is seated and lined up, we can start replacing the screws that hold the board in place. Oops. Where'd that one go? There. Reconnect the DC to DC converter here. Let's power this thing up and see if the reels turn before I put it too far together. We'll try fast forward. There, that works. We'll try rewind. That worked. And we'll try forward. And now, of course, as you can see, the tape is turning. If I stop this, it should go into auto stop, which it does. It's mechanical on this. So that part is working. We'll try record. Record light comes on. Therefore, as you can see, in record mode now. I think we can now proceed with replacing the mechanism here, the base for the deck, which is a little easier to do when I've got the cover off. These are very small, short little screws that hold this plate in place, like that. Okay, now the next piece that I'll put on will be the actual tape door itself, and it has to attach to this lever over here. So this pin on the side here goes into this damper. So we bring the damper up, put that in like that, and then this goes in underneath here, like this. So we're going to push that yellow wire out of the way here. Right there like that. And this goes down like that, and then there'll be 3 more screws that hold this in place. I believe it was these 3. Okay, I think we're together enough almost to test this thing now. This should be able to go in now. This one goes down here, I think. And then the cover goes on. Of course, I can't put this on with my power lead, but the screw goes down through there to hold that on. Time to test this unit. Oh, it's got that control, probably could use a bit of cleaning. Let's clean that control. That appears to be working. Here's something I thought I would never ever demonstrate this thing ever, because, well, when you guys see this thing, you're gonna laugh. This is what they sold as head cleaners. A mechanical head cleaner. Let's try this thing out and see what it does. So we're gonna put some isopropyl alcohol onto the cleaning pads here. Gonna splash a bit on here. Do it off camera because I don't want to get any on the don't want to spill any. But we'll just put some cleaner onto the pads. What this thing here does, and I spilled some anyway. When you press the it's alcohol, it'll evaporate. When you press forward, if it's in all the way, what this thing's supposed to do is, as you can see, it doesn't do it. This is why these things didn't work. But typically, that's supposed to do that and clean the head when you put it in play. But as you can see, this thing here itself requires so much torque that, well, they don't work very well. But you get the idea. This was marketed to clean cassette decks in cars. And, well, they just don't really work that well. But it was a nice idea, marketed by, I think, Allsop and a few others, to sell these things. And, well, the pinch roller actually, the capstan and pinch roller cleaner doesn't do a bad job. But the other one here, there's a lot of torque required to do this. More torque than most cassette decks have. Because, of course, you don't want too much torque because that's going to damage your tape. This is just alcohol, so don't worry. That's just going to evaporate. I just spilled a little bit on the cleaning tape, or the cleaning cassette thing. We're going to do this cleaning the right way with a cotton swab. And some isopropyl alcohol. So moisten the cotton swab, put it into forward so that you can clean the head, clean the erase head, clean the pinch roller, and the capstan shaft. As you can see, this thing's got plenty of torque for take-up. Because the torque, of course, is limited, because too much torque, you're going to stretch your tape. So I'm going to let this thing dry, and then we're going to put the speed tape in and check the speed. So here's my tone. This is a 440 hertz tape. Tone tape, and as you can see, it's a bit of wow and flutter there, but it's pretty close. There's a speed adjustment on here. I'll just adjust the speed a bit and show you guys where the control is. There's a speed adjustment. Speed adjustment controls over here. Bang on 440. And here's what I wanted to show you guys, something else. You know, I always see this. Why does this not look clean? Watch this. It just clicked on me here why I'm seeing so much noise. Watch the carrier there. Oh, look, it's gone away. Now it's back. You notice that? Watch my scope, just sitting, looking at no signal at all. All of a sudden, oh, what do we have here? It didn't dawn on me at first what this is. You guys have a clue what that is? I was wondering why I was seeing this interference. That looks like an awful lot like an AM carrier, doesn't it? My my 400 milliwatt AM stereo transmitter, I had it turned on because I'd been testing radios and stuff, and it was being picked up by my test equipment. As I've relocated it, I had it, when I first set it up, I had it sitting on the other side of the house, and I've since relocated it into the shop here, and it's actually on the other side of the shop. Yeah, it's it's putting enough RF that I'm picking it up on my test equipment. So that's something I'm going to have to remember going forward is when I'm making measurements, unless I'm actually working on an AM radio, to make sure I keep that thing turned off, because well, it's going to certainly impact my test readings, that's for sure. Back to this unit. Speed is looking good. We'll do another playback test, and then I'm going to put the unit together, and we'll give it a final test once it's put together. So forward. Pause. Got a tape counter. So I've got it plugged into my amplifier now. It is stereo. And, oh, Dolby, yeah. This was actually recorded in Dolby C, so it's not going to sound proper. So one last thing I need to do before sending this out is I'm going to do a test recording. I've got my Bluetooth music player thing hooked up here. Got it in record mode, and I'll just push reset the timer here, and I'll just start it playing. I'm just going to plug this thing in and it'll start playing.
Music.
Set our record levels accordingly, and I'm in Dolby is off, so our peak indicator is blinking here. I'll let this record for a minute and we'll play this back and see how it sounds. Now one of the reasons I put the tape at the end to record this is to verify that we've got more than enough take-up torque, right? Because if rollers and so forth are worn out, just like when the belt wears out, it'll tend to slip when the spool is more full than empty. So whenever I test these decks, I always recorded the last little bit of the tape, or played the last little bit of the tape. That way we're using maximum torque because the spool is full. So this tells me that the actual idler is not worn, it was just the belt. Because if the idler had been worn, it would slip at the end, but not at the beginning. So this is just a quick check. I don't have the torque tapes. When I was working in the business, I had a set of torque tapes that I could put in, and it would tell me the exact torque on it, but I don't have them now, and I'm not about to go out and try and buy them. They're expensive. So let's rewind this tape back to where I set the counter to 0, and we'll play this back.
Music.
And the built-in speaker. Sounds good to me. There you go, all fixed. I can now proceed to put the unit back together and get it boxed up, ready to ship out early next week. I gotta get it weighed and priced and everything, and then get the owner of it to send me a payment, and then we'll get it sent back to him. Okay, top cover goes on like that. A couple screws to hold it together. Remember, this unit came in missing a bunch of screws. This unit uses all kinds of different length screws. For different things, so you kind of have to gauge the depth of the screw before you put it in, because you can always put a long screw in where there's supposed to be a short screw, but that can certainly cause a problem if you put a screw in that's too long. Some of these require long screws and some require short. If you put too long a screw in, it could short something out inside. I think all the ones on the back were longer screws. Yeah, and the shorter ones will go on the side here. That's a shorter screw there. And then the bottom, you gotta stick some of these wire retaining tape back down. There was a bunch of screws missing from the back on this unit. It was held together with tape for the most part. I think there was only like 2 or 3 screws in the entire back. The rest of it was all held in place by tape because I'm running out of screws. There's only got a couple of them here left, if any. What do you know? I've got some. This will go back better than it came in. I've got a few small screws in this. I always keep screws right when I scrap something. I always try to keep all the small screws. You never know when they're going to come in handy, and this is such a time. I don't know if that one's going to fit or not. Yep. What do you think of that? Got them all but one. Might even have one for that. Let's try this one. See if this one's long enough. Nope. These ones are a little longer, these screws. And here's a little longer screw here. Might not be the right thread, but I'm sure it'll go in there. It'll fit. There we go. I think I got them all. Okay, I think I got them all now. Much better. Much better. There we go. That's playback. I'm just holding the positive lead to my battery, or to my power supply to the battery terminal, but it won't clip on. Just want to make sure it's working. Once it's gone back together, there we go. Unit is back together. Put the battery compartment on. Put this little catch in there and lock it in place. I guess that's it. There we go. How does this work? This was probably broken too. I think that's broken too, that clip. It didn't seem to do anything when I got it here. Okay, oh well. It's as good as I can make it. Okay, that's another one done here. If you want to support my channel, you can do so either through Patreon or directly through PayPal. Either way works for me. And your generous contributions help me continue the channel and provide a valuable service to my clients out there that have this old equipment that want to keep it running. That's it. Another one saved from the scrap heap. Good old Sony TC D5M. One of the great portable recorders from the analog recording era. Thanks for watching. We'll have another one real soon. We'll catch you later.